Do you have a $2 bill? Well, it could be worth a ton of money and you don't even know it. In this video, I'm going to show you some $2 bills that sold for a ton of money. I'll tell you exactly why they did. I'll also tell you what to do with them, how to get the most money for them so you don't get ripped off and scammed like a lot of people do today, unfortunately. So here's the thing when it comes to $2 bills, most of them are worth only $2. Unless you have one of the bills in this video. They still produce $2 bills to this day. Not many people know that. I actually go to my local bank and pick up $2 bills so I can hand them out as tips or pay with them at a store, and a lot of the time it blows people away. Look at this $2 bill that sold for $1,800 on eBay. This is a 1976 $2 bill. The serial number on the bill is nothing too crazy, not too fancy. Sometimes if there is a solid number 8 serial number or a serial number 1 bill, that's considered fancy and it will increase the value of the bill, but that is not the case here. This $2 bill is also in extremely beat up condition, so there's no real reason for it to sell for this much money. The seller on eBay only has 6 feedback and there's only 1 bid on the item. Hopefully no one got scammed because this $2 bill is not worth $1,800 like it sold for. But this $2 bill right here is real. It is 100% genuine. I'll spend a few seconds on it, but it sold for $725. What you need to know is that 1928 was the first year they ever started producing small size US paper money $2 bills like this one. This is what collectors call a legal tender bill. Technically, you could bring this to a store and pay with it, but I advise against that for 2 reasons. One, there's a good chance that someone will call the cops on you because they think that you're trying to scam them or use a fake bill. And 2, there's just way more collector value than its face value of $2. So I advise highly against doing that. But yes, this is indeed a real $2 bill from 1928. Now, this is something you need to be very careful of. This bill sold for $520. Now, this is an altered bill. So what someone did is they're calling this a yellow gold seal, very rare. It's worth a ton of money when in reality, it's not. So 1953, these bills will typically have a red seal and serial number similar to the one you saw previously. But what happened here is that someone took some sort of chemical and they changed the red into yellow, causing it to be this color. Now, people that don't know will unfortunately buy a bill like this, pay way too much money and get scammed. I don't want that to be used, to never do that. But again, this bill is typically a red seal and serial number, but it got altered and it sold for $520. So here's something I wanted to show you really quick. This is a $2 and a $5 bill that sold for $2,500. Now, if you look on the right hand side of the bill, you're going to see a plate position. And before that plate position, you're going to see a small FW. That FW stands for the Fort Worth facility where these 2 bills were produced. Now, if these bills did not have that small FW there, that means that they were produced at the Washington, D.C. facility. There's only 2 facilities that produce paper money in the US, and it's those 2. Now, why is that important? Well, depending on how many were produced for a specific facility will dictate the supply and demand and how much the bills are worth. These 2 bills, unfortunately, are only worth $2 and $5 in my opinion, so I have no idea why it sold for $2,500, but I really do hope that no one is getting scammed or ripped off because that's sort of what it looks like here. $2,530 for this $2 bill from 1976. Now, this is what collectors call a specimen note. You can see that red stamped specimen on the front and the back of the bill. To keep a long story short, the US produced specimen notes to give to banks around the world that accepted US federal currency. Now, the reason for this was because there are people that try to deposit fake currency into these foreign banks around the world. So they wanted to educate these countries and give them examples of genuine paper money. And they did that by having specimen notes. Now, you can tell if you have a specimen note because the serial number will be fancy. In this example, the serial number is consecutive from 2 all the way up to 9. Now, if your bill has specimen stamps, but the serial number is not a fancy serial number like that, and by that, I just mean out of the ordinary serial number, it could be solid 1s, solid 0s. Just understand that there is some serious collector value with specimen notes. And if you have one, they could be really rare because this one sold for $2,530. $13,200 for this $2 bill from 1976. Now, I'll be very brief here, but this is a serial number 2 bill, and it's also a star note. Now, if we look at the plate positions, you can see on the front plate number, there's an A at the bottom right and an A at the top left. Now, remember what I said before, if there's no FW before that plate position, that means it was produced at the Washington, D.C. facility. This one's also a star note. Now, to keep it very brief, star notes occur when there's an error on the sheet of bills and a quality control manager destroys that sheet and has a new sheet produced with a star. They do this for bookkeeping purposes to make sure that there's no theft going on at the BEP, or Bureau of Engraving and Printing. If this was a serial number 1, it would have sold for more money than $13,200, but that's still a ton of money for this one little $2 bill. I'll be very brief here, but yes, this is a real $2 bill and it sold for $79,312. Now, this is a $1869 $2 bill. Collectors call this a rainbow rainbow notes because you have the blue security fibers on the left, the green ornate design on the top, and then the large red spiked seal on the right-hand side. Now, the US started adding security features like this into bills to make them harder to counterfeit. You have to understand this is just after the Confederate era where counterfeiters were running rampant. All you need to know is that if you have a rainbow note like this, one, I'm pretty jealous of you, and two, you have something worth a ton of money, even if it's in lower graded condition. But this one's only 2 points away from the perfect grade of 70, and that's why it sold for $79,312. If you enjoyed this video, YouTube says you'll enjoy the video on the screen, so click on that video and I'll see you inside.